This question is for all candidates. In some neighborhoods of District D, infrastructure is in very poor condition. In some of the neighborhoods, what will you do to ensure there's a focus on reconstructing more neighborhood streets rather than focusing primarily on major thoroughfares? What will you do to make sure that there's a focus on rebuilding neighborhood streets as opposed to major thoroughfares?
So this is for all the candidates, so I'll start.
For all candidates.
Okay. Rebuild Houston, when I campaigned for the passage of Rebuild Houston, it was essentially for a neighborhood revitalization program. And the administration, once the program was passed, deviated from that and focused more on major thoroughfares. We need to do a better job of reallocating resources into the neighborhoods. And what I'm proposing to do is sort of to split the funding where we have half the money be split amongst the 11 district council members and empower the district council members to ask the community at large what they want in their neighborhoods. And then as the administration uses the second half of the money for the major thoroughfares that span across those multiple districts. But it's all about engaging the public and empowering your district council members, because who better to sell this program than the grassroots level, boots on the ground, that district council member. Thank you.
Stephen, we need to be honest with this crowd. You supported Rebuild Houston, which was an extra tax on occupants that made you pay for rain tax on your property. It was bad policy then, it's bad policy now, and the Supreme Court said that you misled the citizens about that. Number two, even though it was bad policy, Stephen, your friends were the ones that benefited from it. The engineers went down and got the lucrative contracts, and salary increases were used not for the purpose for which the voters approved that. So while you may have come up with the idea, it was a bad idea for the citizens of this city. Number two, this issue about dumping tires in this city and also having dumpsters in black neighborhoods and brown neighborhoods, that's just bad policy. I don't see those dumpsters over in River Oaks. I don't see them in Tanglewood. I don't see them anyplace else. I don't want to invite people to come and dump their trash in these neighborhoods. As your mayor, I believe we have to be more inventive than that.
I campaigned against Rebuild Houston. I think it was a bad policy at the time also. You know, we did infrastructure in this city for 200 years in a particular way, and that is when periodically had bond elections, and we listed the projects that were going to be done and how much they were going to be cost, and the citizens decided whether they wanted those projects done and whether they wanted to pay for them or not. Rebuild Houston unwound all that, and now you have a bunch of City Hall insiders and bureaucrats making these decisions about what projects are going to be done in your neighborhood. We need to get back to the citizens voting on what projects that they want to do, which is the way we did it for the last 200 years.
Thank you. I appreciate this question, and I've looked at this a lot. And what I've come up with is that the formula is wrong. It's been... Sir? Yes. The formula is wrong. I think that the policy has been worst first. I think that we need to change that and put at least 30% back into the neighborhoods. That doesn't get us anywhere. You go to some of the streets in the city of Houston that are heavily traveled, and those streets need looked at. But really, I think that we need 30% to go back into the neighborhoods. Good neighborhoods equal quality of life. Quality of life means good economic development that we can bring right to this city because we have something to sell. We have ways to attract businesses to come to the city by good quality neighborhoods with good quality streets, sidewalks, all kinds of infrastructure that's also below the ground. Thank you.
Houston, if we take a look at Rebuild Houston, has Houston really been rebuilt? If you go outside, excuse me, pardon me, we've been talking about Rebuild Houston since 2 years ago. We've been talking about rebuild Houston long before that. But what part of Houston is Houston actually rebuilding? How are we using the funds? Is the funds actually being allocated to disparate communities? Absolutely not. So we need a mayor in office to make sure that we have fair policies that make sure money is allocated throughout Houston. Let's not leave the 99% out and only cater to the 1%. It's time to actually rebuild Houston.
Take this opportunity to introduce another candidate who has joined us, Sylvester Turner, State Representative Sylvester Turner, who is also a candidate for mayor. And just real quickly, far be it from me to tell some of the candidates how to speak into a microphone, but some people, some of you are a little bit too close, so back off the mic. Okay, so we're getting some comments from the audience, Mr. Turner. 1 minute, the timekeeper is right there in front of you.
Hello, thank you. First, let me take this opportunity to apologize for being late. I told Councilman Borkin that I had another event at the same time, so I do apologize for being late. On the question of rebuild Houston, let me just say that there are a number of historical neighborhoods that have been systematically ignored for a long time. Whether it's Sunnyside, whether it's South Park, whether it's the Nickel, Fifth Ward, whether it's Acton, Bullfold, a number of historical communities have been ignored, and the infrastructure is totally outdated. The concept of rebuild Houston is a good one. You need a reliable, sustainable funding source. The problem is that the dollars are not going to where it's really needed, and we need to focus the funding source on building the infrastructure in those areas that have been systematically ignored over an extended period of time. They are still flooding. They're still the major. There are areas in many of these ignored areas that used to didn't flood at all. Now they do flood. So we need a reliable, independent source, but it needs to be dedicated, and the money needs to be used for its intended purpose.
So the next question will be asked by Mr. Preston Rowe.